his 10-year anniversary of his passing. I know exactly where I was when I heard the news. We were in the office and we were basically all working, and then somebody's phone hit. Then on the news, showing an ambulance. Michael Jackson has had a heart attack and is being driven to the hospital. Like Michael had a heart attack. That's all they know. And he's on his way to the hospital. Naturally, and they saying, well, things didn't look, too good. But it's just saying they're working on him. He's in the hospital. They got him in the ambulance. And that's all the information we were getting at that point. Um, Everyone was waiting for the news. Then the reports came out because somebody they paid basically told a TMZ guy that he's gone. They're just trying to wait and get things prepared before they tell everybody, but he's gone. So TMZ was the first ones to report, and was the only ones to report at the time that Michael Jackson had passed. So the entire world was, some people were caught on the news and some people weren't. And then before it was even publicly announced, radio stations had just reel to reel Michael Jackson music ready to go and was playing consistently. Like every radio station was just playing Michael Jackson's music. And this is a guy who couldn't get a record played while he was breathing at the time on the radio anymore. So other people started to follow suit, and then it became an official announcement that it was true. And then the family was all there, and they told them, and you know, statements were made. There was a lot of people rushing. My father, I talked to him before I even talked to my mother, and me and him had a conversation, and I was telling him that I was like, he was murdered. This is murder. You don't just die of a heart attack. You got that kind of money. It just don't happen like that. With no known heart problems, you just at 50 just drop dead. When I'm like, Michael has a doctor with him 24/7. And my dad was trying to say, well, you got to understand all the stress he put on his body, all that touring, all the shows he did. I'm like, Dad, you got to understand, this is Michael Jackson. This, if I would understand the stress on the tours and all this stuff, if you had something to really be worried about, like Michael Jackson had a doctor with him 24/7. They would have been able to monitor him or do something. It wouldn't have happened like this. I'm telling you, he was murdered. And I told him, somebody killed him. There's no way. So my dad was like, well, we're going to find out when all the details come out. And I'm like, I was shocked my dad didn't know right off the bat. I'm like, Dad, you think like me. I understand my father was a musician, so this fit under his crawl, like he had his band was based off the Jackson Five. They were called the Jive Five, and they used to go and do shows, like doing cover songs of the Jackson Five. So definitely, and my father played Michael's role. He was the lead singer. So naturally, this hit him. You know, and it was just such a terrible, terrible, just layout altogether. It was really bad at that time. Just the way everything was rushed, and Michael had so much assets and so much things that have to be accounted for, and there were deals put in place. And Michael had a secret will put together, and they tried to make a will and to supersede it, but no, he had a legal will done to say who his beneficiary was, which was his mother, Diana Ross. That's the two people he trusted the most that was still living, that he knew wouldn't cross him. And that was it. Everybody else was so victimized by money, he couldn't trust them. So, I mean, it's just sad, man. We lost somebody early due to the power of trying to control Michael Jackson. And I want you guys to understand something. A lot of people thought Michael was weak and easily to be manipulated. Not true. Michael was very strong willed. If Mike was weak, he would have just played ball and been a billionaire. He already was a billionaire, but they wanted to strip him of it. They wanted a piece of it. Like, Michael, you can have a piece of what's already yours. Imagine if you owned something outright of some of the richest wealth in the world that's never going to die. It's never going to get old. It's never going to play out. You own it outright. And someone's telling you how they can make you a better deal, but they got to get a piece of that in order to make that better deal. We need to have a piece of that. Don't worry. We're going to make you a lot of money off of what you have. That's already worth money that you can make money on without us. That doesn't make any sense, does it? So for Michael, it's like, what am I cutting you in for? What are you providing me that I can't provide for myself? So what they did was try to sabotage Michael so that Michael would have no choice but to use them for their platform. And Michael fought them at every turn around the country till Tommy Mantola was fired. That's not a weak man. A weaker man would not stand before the powers of Sony and what they could do. They raided this man. They had him arrested, tried to put him in jail for the rest of his life, threatening all of these things to destroy his career, destroy his own catalog. Can't nobody play his old music from Billie Jean to Thriller, the biggest albums of all time. They were told not even mentioning it, trying to make people forget he existed, tarnish his legacy. And they didn't get him to break. They didn't get Michael to break. Because it was never going to be enough. If they got one piece, they want two pieces. If they got two pieces, they want four. They want four, why can't they have eight? It was never going to stop. They had to get that wealth out of Michael's hands. We're talking about owning masters, and it's 2019. When we saw what happened with Chess Records and all these other artists, James Brown and all these people who didn't own their masters. We saw what happened to their careers. Michael showed you the way in the 80s. He owned everything. He owned his music. He owned his catalog. He owned other people's catalog. The man gave James Brown his catalog, so James didn't have to perform no more. James was 76 years old out there having to spin around and dance in his 70s. And he was like, James, you don't have to do these shows. I bought your catalog. Here you go. Because James Brown used to own his catalog, and it was swindled from him during the height of his popularity. He was starting to slide. People were listening to other artists. James was becoming old. So James started making deals to get back into the game and make a comeback. So once he started doing that and business was, getting a little messed up, he started taking in partners, and partners ended up swindling him out of his ownership. It is what it is. But don't believe all this stuff that they say about Michael, man. It's all lies. All these things they did was trying to strip him down to make the general public not want to listen to Michael Jackson because they know people could be easily manipulated. But the facts are facts. When you raid somebody's house like that and you don't find any damn evidence whatsoever, there was nothing there. And it never was. I mean, this is the FBI raiding. They want to find something on him, but they couldn't. They had nothing. So don't believe any of these lies they tell you about Michael. And I'll end this with just saying, please donate to the Cash App so that we can have more videos like this. We love to talk about stuff like this all day long. I mean, there's so many things he done philanthropy-wise. This man single-handedly tried to save the Soul Train Awards when no one was coming and they were going to shut it down. He came and performed Man in the Mirror live on the Soul Train Awards when he didn't have to. He did that for them. And that's why it hurt his feelings when blacks turned their backs on him. He felt like, man, if he was to dye his hair a rainbow color, whatever, black people should definitely not come after his head. He hasn't done anything to anyone. Whether it was black, white, Chinese, and everything else, he showed love. Michael just knew good people and bad people. And people always taking his kindness for weakness because they wanted something from him. That's the reason why he associated himself with kids, because kids were brutally honest. They just wanted to see you. They didn't want any money. They didn't want anything. They just wanted to see Michael. That's it. They didn't want anything. So he would rather be surrounded by that than all of these people who were adult kids with alternative motives. They want Michael to do something for them, for their careers, or they want some money, or Michael donate something here. So it wasn't that he was weird. You're talking about a child who never had a childhood. So to see all these people come around him since he was a kid. They always wanted something from him, like snakes. And it's hard to have, it's easy to be guarded and have trust issues when you have these type of people surrounding you. So, how did you remember Michael Jackson? What happened on that day when you found out? Let me know in the Streamlab when you click the link in the description box and leave a donation. You can leave it there. You can have it there. Or you can just do it in the comment section. Whatever makes you happy. But I'm at